Hi there and welcome to the first video blog post of the NLP Tips, Techniques, and Articles blog. My name is Joseph Tukuski. Welcome to my home. We're shooting in my home today. And today we're going to talk about something called sensory acuity. We're going to talk about why it's so important, what it is, and how it can benefit you, and also how you can develop your own sensory acuity. So what is sensory acuity? Well, sensory acuity has to do with your senses. So sight, sound, and touch. And acuity means keenness or sharpness. So sensory acuity is keenness or sharpness of your senses. So why is this such a valuable skill for an NLP practitioner or even just in life in general for anyone? Well, it's really quite simple, and that is that when we're communicating and events are happening in our life, there's so much information coming in. And oftentimes what happens is we get stuck in our own mind and we're having thoughts about things and what they mean and how to interact with them, and we're not actually paying attention to a lot of the information that's out there. So for instance, when we're talking with people, people are telling us things all the time. And they're telling us with their breathing rate. They're telling us with their whether or not their eyes are focused on us or not, or whether they're staring off into space. They're telling us things with their skin tone and their posture. And there's all kinds of body language that's going on. And so sensory acuity helps you to notice this type of body language. Now, even if you're not really aware of sensory acuity at the moment, your subconscious mind absolutely is. If you've ever felt like you just didn't like somebody and you just didn't really know why, it's because your subconscious mind was picking up on all of these cues. Maybe the person said something, but they acted in a way that wasn't in line with what they said. So they're incongruent. And people naturally pick up on this without necessarily being conscious of it. They just get a feeling that, hey, something's out of whack here. And similarly, you can also have a situation where, you just really, really, really liked somebody and they didn't really say anything necessarily that was particularly important, but that there was just something about them and you just liked them. And so sometimes what this is that they're communicating to you with a certain body language that says, hey, I'm a straight up guy, I'm telling the truth, I'm going in this direction. And it's not really about whether or not someone's telling the truth or not, but it's definitely used, sensory acuity is definitely used in those types of measurements or calibrations. So where is this beneficial to you and in life, and what are some examples? Well, let's say you're a manager or you're some type of a leader in an organization, and there's about to be some changes that are occurring in your organization, and you want to make sure that they're accepted and acknowledged and acted upon. Well, you have to communicate to your staff in a certain way where that will happen. And if you don't have your sensory acuity turned up, you might not notice if they're actually accepting it. And because people are notorious for just saying, oh, yes, 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 I understand, and yes, 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 I've got it, and I'll take care of it, and this and that, and then it doesn't change. So with higher sensory acuity, you would be able to notice these incongruencies more consciously. That's the thing. You can let your subconscious do the work, but you can also be more conscious of it and notice it. And another example is when people are making arrangements or negotiating things and things like that, you can start to notice sensory acuity can also apply to language and things like that. If you're going to have a meeting with someone and they says, yes, I'll try to be at that meeting, well, chances are they're not going to be at that meeting. That's just an example of how it can be used with certain types of language and certain words. Another way that's really, really valuable is if you're talking to someone that's really, really, really close to you, like your mom or your sister or your brother or your girlfriend or your wife or your children, and you're talking with them and you're having a communication with them. If you're too much inside of yourself and thinking about what they're saying and putting meaning on things and making assumptions and jumping to conclusion, I don't know about you, but I sure know I've jumped to conclusions once or twice in my life, and probably more than that. And made an assumption about what something meant, or maybe somebody looked at me the wrong way, and I was like, oh, or maybe their tone of voice was a little bit off from what I prefer, and I was putting meaning on that, and then the conversation went downhill from there. But it didn't actually mean that. That wasn't actually the intention. So that's where sensory acuity can help, because you get out of your own head and you're just paying attention. You're just becoming more aware of things like breathing rate, posture, eye movements. You're becoming aware of little idiosyncrasies, like maybe they do this or they do that when they talk about a certain problem, or maybe they do this or that when they're talking about something they're excited about or their goal. And you can start to learn how when people are moving in a congruent direction or an incongruent direction, or whether or not they're accepting what you're saying. If you've had conversations in the past with your mom or your wife, and you know that she's accepting what you're saying when she acts like this and she talks like this and her sound of her voice is like this, you can gauge better whether or not your thing, so you're not going to be disappointed or having any illusions about what's going to occur. So those are some of the benefits that you can have about that. So how can you develop your sensory acuity? Well, for practitioners, how you can develop your sensory acuity is just by coming up, okay, and turning up your senses and turning off that internal dialogue. Okay, so that's one of the ways that it is. And for those NLP master practitioners out there, we call that uptime processing or downtime processing. Downtime processing is when you're inside. Uptime processing is when you're paying attention to what's happening in the environment. And I'm not going to explain that too much. That's more of an advanced NLP, and I'll deal with that in another video. And I'll give you an example of where this was really prevalent for me in my life. One time I was giving a seminar for meditation, and I was really connecting with the audience and making sure that everyone was getting what I was saying and learning the information so they can apply it, because I really wanted them to learn this. They paid me good money to come and see me, and I wanted to make sure that they left with what I said they would leave. And there was this one particular lady, and she always had this really crappy look on her face. And I thought she hated what I was saying and that she just wasn't getting it and she wasn't getting anywhere. But what I didn't know, that's how I jumped to a conclusion, right? Because my sensory acuity was not turned up enough just to be noticing things rather than putting judgments on things. That's not what sensory acuity is about. There's no meanings of what a person's feeling. There's no ideas about what they meant. It's just taking in the information and noticing how they're interacting and how that has to do with their state. Anyways, this particular lady, she had this really crappy look on her face, and I thought she wasn't getting it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like, just one person's just not getting it. And wouldn't you know, that lady came up to me after the seminar, and she told me how awesome the event was for her and how much she learned, and she was so grateful. And from that day forward, I was really, really humbled about that, and I was reminded how important sensory acuity is, and not to jump to conclusions. Just notice, just take in the information, okay? And this is a really valuable strategy for life, because oftentimes altercations, arguments, fights, whatever, they occur because we don't give ourselves time to process or think. We take the information in and we just go with it, and we get on it like a dog with a bone, and the next thing you know, we're in an argument. But sometimes when something happens, it's good to stop and just let it process a little bit and realize maybe it doesn't mean what you think it meant. And sensory acuity is really doing that. So when you're involved in the conversations with people, you can just be more aware of your senses, tone of voice, things like that, how it's interacting with your thing, and put the meanings on it afterwards. Now, so that's one way that you can build your sensory acuity right now. If you'd like to master your sensory acuity, join us at an NLP practitioner training, or maybe sign up for the NLP Cloud. If you're not aware of what the NLP Cloud is, it's our live recordings of our NLP practitioner training, and there should be a link somewhere on this page where you can get information or watch a presentation about it. Thank you so much for listening about sensory acuity, and stay tuned for my next video log post. We'll be doing about one per week, and I'm really happy to be providing this service for you. Okay, have a great day, and for your NLP success. Thank you so much.